my brother Brandon. We're here to interview him, man. We want to talk about, man, the industry, mechanic industry today, and we want to talk about where's the industry at right now, 2023, and how you feel about the industry that you're in today.
I love being a mechanic. I love fixing cars. Every time I get a problem car, I like to solve the puzzle. That's the way I look at it. I like puzzles, so solving broken problems is great for me. But as an industry as a whole, it's going downhill, and I hate to say that, but it comes down to money, of course. How they pay technicians. Even the younger generation, they don't really pay them what they're worth.
I mean,
Yes, they don't know anything, but
but I'm hearing that it's harder for businesses to hire mechanics today.
yeah, I mean, you have younger kids coming out of high school that just want to be YouTube stars or sports stars, and you're always going to have those. But then you do have the few that go to a dealership or go to school or training and stuff like that, that they don't really know what they're doing, and they're expecting to be taught. When we don't have those old men anymore that want to pass down their knowledge. We have everybody that wants to, oh, you're cool, so I'll teach you, but I'm not teaching him because I'm not cool with him.
Crazy, man. So they don't even, look out for each other.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes you get some people, like I like teaching. I've taught at every dealership I've ever been in, teaching the younger generation something, because some old man once taught me. I've worked, my grandpa taught me whenever I was really young, and then it just kept going. And I can think this old master tech named Ed, barely understand him because he was from deep woods, Mississippi, but he would teach me everything he knew and never stop. He would every day. He's like, you remember that? You remember that? He'd quiz me and then ask me questions. You don't have that no more.
Man. So the industry is changing.
Oh, absolutely. The cars are getting more advanced. It's harder to work on them. They're making them more condensed, more packed, more complex electrical issues is what we're running into now.
So now, so basically you got to really problem solve.
Yeah. You basically have to be an electrical engineer to understand some of these electric cars.
Man. Wow. And so that's why, when you talk about the industry, it's harder for business generation. What do the mechanics industry look like in the next 10 years?
This is my opinion. I think it's going to be slim pickings. I don't think a lot of these kids are going to get out of school wanting to be mechanics. You're going to have your car guys, kids that grew up playing with Hot Wheels like I did, or, when we had the Fast and Furious movies, like now they're a little outrageous in my opinion, putting cars in space, but we had like Fast and Furious 1 and 2. Didn't that make you want to work on cars?
Man, I'm telling you.
It made you want a sports car, man.
That's why I went to school. I went to school to try to work on cars because of that, man.
Yeah, we don't have nothing like that. There's nobody helping these younger kids like get into cars and get into the industry. They don't have that drive, that passion for what they want to do.
What I remember is when I was in the industry, all the people I went to school with, they lived cars. Their whole life was cars. From growing up around cars. And so this generation now is totally different. It's kind of like what you said, man. People they're not looking towards working with their hands when it comes to cars anymore.
Yeah, and then whenever they go to a dealership, it's really hard because there's a lot of politics in the automotive dealerships. It's buddy buddies, cliques, like high school. Perhaps you could say that. You get cars if you're fast. Well, how do you get fast? By practicing, by doing it over and over again. Well, what if they're not giving you the cars to practice? So now you're starving, and if you don't fix cars, you don't eat. You don't make no money, because it's the way we get paid is the hardest problem. It's flag hours. If this one website says it takes me 17 hours to rebuild the head on an engine, but warranty's only paying me 10, but it's still going to take me 17. Why would I want to do that job?
It's crazy you talk about that. I remember guys when I was in the industry, they hated warranty jobs. They hated warranty jobs because of exactly what you said, man.
Sometimes warranty isn't a bad thing, man. I get it. It's part of the industry. I've worked in multiple different dealerships, and warranty is a big part of it. And you have to just do it, but you supplement that. And if you have a good foreman and you have a good manager, they understand, oh, we give you a big warranty job that's going to take up time to do. Well, let me throw a little bit of easier brake jobs at you and these flushes and stuff to make you some money to make up for it. Yes, you're still having to do the work, but they're trying to help you out and make up for it. I did work at one place. It was like that. I worked at another place. It was, oh, well, it's your job, your car.
Wow, man. And that's what make it hard.
And that's only if everything goes right. Can you do it in 17 hours?
Yeah, because the crazy thing about it is people don't understand. Being a mechanic, man, I believe you have to be very much a smart person. It takes an intelligent person to know how to work on cars. It's not just, people kind of, look at the mechanic guys just as like,
dirty
guys,
dirty, just beards and crazy. And,
right.
Yeah, because we've all seen them in movies portrayed that way. But think of it more like the movie Ford versus Ferrari. How the guy tells the guy with a sports car, oh, stop revving it, stop shifting it at 2,000 RPM, shift it at 5,000 RPMs, because that's a sports car. You need to drive it that way. We have to remember that on tons of cars. I know a diesel has to have certain things, and a gas has to have certain things, but the electronics correspond with each other. It's a little different.
Right. So it just takes a massive amount of experience.
Yeah. And it's basically just seeing the problem more than one time. Sometimes people takes 2 or 3 times to really understand something, or maybe they have to break it down and take it apart. I'm that kind of person. I didn't understand how a compressor worked until I took an old compressor from a car I fixed and I tore it all apart and was like, okay, so now I understand it. In my brain, I have to be visually seeing it. That's how it helps me.
I mean, and to think about what you're saying though, to piggyback on that, when you this think about it's trial and error. So when you work, it's a trial and error thing. Is as you go with that type of job, and so that's why I say big respects to what men like you do, because man, that's a serious job.
Yeah, and it's more important that we have to understand that this is somebody's life. I'm fixing a car that somebody's daughter, somebody's mom, brother, sister, kid is going to be driving, or vice versa, that they're driving with. So if I do your brakes, I have to be especially careful, because if they leave that shop and their brakes fell and after I just did them, that's my fault. That's somebody's life in my hands. And if I don't have a little bit of pride in my work, then I could just have a bad day and be like, I don't feel like doing this completely. I'm not going to grease the brake pads. Well, now they get in an accident and they kill somebody. That's on me. That's on my conscience,
man. And that's what, I look at, being a mechanic. It's kind of like being a doctor. And people say that's a crazy comparison. It is. It is, but it's not. It makes sense because you're working on a car that somebody driving. Yeah. This is the body of a car as you working on the body of a human. If you mess up on the body of a human, you can kill somebody. You mess up on the car they drive, you can still kill somebody. So it's similar in the same way,
Yeah, I was in the military, so I had a lot of medical training, and you can make that correlation. Your bones are like the suspension, your nervous system's like the electrical system, the muscles are your engine. You could make that correlation, and you have to have. I personally think that we have more training than doctors, and this is why, before people say something bad,
right,
is because every year they come out with a new car, they come out with a new model, a new system, or something like that. So we've got to relearn. Now they do that in the medical field, where they come out with new practices or new ways of doing things. So they are constantly learning too. But I never stop learning.
Yeah, man, the grind never stops.
I mean, let's look at the difference between 10 years of cars. I mean, in 2010, we barely had Bluetooth in our radios. Now every single one has like Apple CarPlay or, Amazon in their car.
Man,
it's like, why do we need all this? It's creature comforts. And that's what makes cars more complicated. I just wish we could have an old carbureted engine again where I could just take a screwdriver out there and tune it and be like, all right, you're good to go.
Man, it's back. That was the good old days, though.
I actually just rebuilt the carburetor. It made me a little happy to do.
The good old days of cars, man. When you ain't have all electrical work, man. Talking about the big engines, man.
Yeah. Big engines, no electrical, barely any AC. Man. Some of them had little doors in the side window. You know, people are like, what is that for? You open it up and that was your AC while you were driving.
That's shit. Man, that's the old cars, man. That was heavier metal cars, man. They wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It was just,
now we have aluminum body cars that are non-magnetic that you can't ground to, and if a wire touches them, then it messes up the car.
Man,
if it's frayed and it's touching that aluminum body, it can mess up every electrical component in that car.
But you know, I think the good thing is that you served, right? So you served. So would you think you serving in the military helped you problem solve when it came to being in the car industry? Because I know in the military they teach you to problem solve.
Oh yeah, that's the biggest thing they teach you. You know, they basically teach you to work the problem. A problem comes into your mind or confronts you, and you have to work through that problem. Now another problem is going to show up. Well, you got to just keep working. You just can't stop. You got to have that little bit of a drive, and like problems are going to come in your life and you have to be able to work through them little by little.
Man, see, that's the thing, you know, you always got, and that's the thing about it, man. We always got to problem solve. No matter what we doing in life, man, we always have to problem solve because you never know what situation you may get in. You have to think your way out of it, think your way how to do it. It's all about problem solving as a man. And I like to problem solve.
I do too. I like puzzles. So
yeah, man. It's a good thing, man. And that's why they probably put them in a lot of different things. Any games you play, anything, it always has some type of puzzles, man, because it's all about problem solving, especially as us as men. You know, one thing I want to talk about, man, we know you're a mechanic, but the diesel side of things, man, how that varies compared to just working on cars.
Well, the EPA says it's going to be a lot more difficult. Man. Because they put that DEF system in there. Diesels, like your old 12-valve Cummins, those were great. They didn't have no DEF. They were really sleek, really nice, not a lot of tubes. I mean, it was super easy to work on. I mean, there's nothing to it. It's just a turbo and the engine and a little bit of electronics. You barely needed any of that to run the thing. So now with this new DEF system, it's illegal for you to pull it out, but it's a hindrance to your truck every day.
I didn't know that.
It's supposed to make it cleaner, and they say it's biodegradable and stuff like that, but I've never seen a liquid be poured out on the ground that turns to white crystals instantly. Like as soon as it dries, it turns into white crystals and it hardens up.
Wow.
How can that be better for the environment than the smoke? And how are diesels hurting it so bad when we have other countries burning tires and stuff like that? We can't control them. So they're trying to micromanage our vehicles over here because they think it's helping. It's not. But it makes it 4 times harder for us to work on.
Man. So what would you say, like, if you did an engine job, how long do you think that'd take with like a diesel because it's bigger?
Right? It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just pulling and replacing, you know, it's a good amount of time. But if I'm rebuilding like the head, it's significantly longer.
Really? I can't even imagine it, man. The trucks are so tall. You got to get up a ladder or something.
I have a step stool. I ain't gonna lie. But you also have everybody that has a big diesel truck. They lift them, and then you know, like, why would you lift it if you're gonna be towing things? Why lift it? So it looks cool, but it ruins your towing capacity,
man.
So you have to think about all these things when you're working on these cars, because half of them have been modified by aftermarket parts and aftermarket shops, different turbos. I can't confirm or deny that people are deleting their DEF system, but once it's deleted, that could cause codes to pop up that you're trying to fix that you don't know if it's actually there or not because that system's no longer there. And it gets a little bit, so you got to be a detective and an investigator and a car whisperer all in one sometimes to be able to figure out what's going on these things.
Wow. And that's the thing, man. That's why I say the car industry, being a mechanic is no joke. It's not like you know, it's
never a dull day.
Because it's not. I just remember being in the industry, seeing mechanics, man, be up for hours, man.
Yeah.
Problem solving and thinking about the next day, how to figure out what part they need to do or how to fix this or solve this issue with
Or
this.
you get so mad at a car that you start throwing things around the shop because you can't
Man,
figure it out, and you just got to walk away for 15 minutes, cool your head, then come back with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh mind, saying, "Okay, let's start 100% over and let's
man.
double check everything."
And that's the importance of men in this industry, man, because it's very important that dudes get the recognition that they do for keeping this world rolling, man. These cars, man, wouldn't be out here rolling if it wasn't for guys like you in the industry.
Everybody needs a car. That doctor that fixes us needs a car.
Man, yep, exactly, man. Everybody needs a car, man. It's essential.
Yeah.
And that's during the pandemic, they were still working.
Yes, I actually took that opportunity to spend some time with my daughter. They offered layoffs for some mechanics, and unfortunately for me, I do have a little bit of a check from the military doing that, me being medically discharged. So I was able to supplement that while I took some time off, help my daughter during the pandemic so that she could get her education still and help her with all of her schoolwork because she didn't have no teachers.
Man. And being a father is important as well too, man. Balancing all of that.
Oh, I give everything up to make sure that little girl's safe. So
and that's important, man, as well. And I want to talk about, because you got a long life when it comes to your experience of doing things, man. And you served in the military, and I want to talk about that today. I think it's important as well. When you served in the military, was you mechanically inclined? Did you think about doing any type of engine work doing?
So I grew up fixing cars with my grandpa, and I joined the military, and I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to be infantry because he was infantry, and I decided that was the best course for me, even though I knew how to work on cars. I actually got a pretty high mechanical score on my ASVAB, and they offered me quite a few mechanic jobs and stuff like that. But I wanted to be infantry. That was my goal. I got to go to the schools I wanted to and do the things I wanted to while I was in. And unfortunately, I was injured, so I had to get out. But I'm still here, and I got all my pieces, so I guess I'm lucky.
Man, that's a blessing, man. And here at Brothers United, man, at the round table, man, we always talk about masculinity and living by rules. What did the military instill in you as a man going out in the civilian world?
Nothing.
Really?
The military does not help soldiers when they come back home. I can wholeheartedly say that. They gave me a 1-week class on going back to civilian world. And it's basically don't kill people, don't hurt people, and stay out of trouble.
Wow.
And they don't teach you what it's like after you go to war and after stuff like that, to come home and just go to a concert with your girl, or go to a birthday party with your kids and be surrounded by people you don't know. Because for me, that's still a problem because I am always on high alert. They taught me how to do all these things, and they taught me to be alert and aware of my surroundings and everything, but they don't teach you how to turn it off.
Man.
And it took me a long time. I've been out for almost 10 years now. And I will say that it took me some time to adapt, a few years of civilian life to really, I got fired from a job whenever I first got out because I told somebody to go F themselves.
Man. Because you live in a hostile type of environment
well, we're all men, like in the infantry, we're all men. We testosterone flows and we're all combat oriented. So, I mean, yeah, we get in fights, we yell at each other, we scream at each other, we get in, combatives matches, and they find ways, they run us through PT. They have us do hand-to-hand combat, stuff like that to burn all that out of our systems. But I didn't have that anymore.
Man.
So I had to find my own vices, my own ways to do things.
But the important thing is one thing I do want to speak to you about is that one thing I noticed about you, man, getting to know you, you live by certain rules from what I understand. And those rules are very important. Did you, how you feel about that? Did you learn a lot of that from the military, like being there for your brothers and the stuff you do?
I would say that I was raised to be in the military by my grandfather.
Okay.
Being a old war vet back in the day, he raised me like that. and it helped me be more, I guess, honorable is the way I could put it somewhat. He basically just told me to be a good person, no matter what color, what religion, what orientation, what anything. They're all human beings. Look at every human being as a treasure because human life is sacred. I mean, yeah, my job was to take that, away from some people, and that was his job too. But at the same time, he understood that having that, be good and be kind to everybody. Everybody's equal. We're all human beings, and just being kind to one another is the biggest thing. And that's where a lot of people fail at is they don't think about the other person. They only think about themselves. Like, hold the door open for an older couple walking through if they're using a cane to walk through. That's respect. That's things that should be instilled in every kid, but it's just not nowadays. Like, I'm sure you were taught to hold the door open for a lady whenever she's coming through the door, or wait for if you're on a date, you wait for the lady to have a seat first before you sit down. Those little things like that, and that we don't teach our kids. I try to instill these into my daughter, and I even teach her how to fix cars because I don't want her to have to rely on somebody else. I want her to be able to do the things on her own. And it comes to good teaching, you know?
And that's important, man. And this one thing I know from getting to know you as a short time I have is that anytime you say you're gonna do something, you do it. And
I mean,
that's one thing I know about you. You will keep your word no matter what, man.
I love this quote from a TV show called Letterkenny. Have you ever seen it?
I've never seen it.
Okay. It says, when a friend asks for help, you help them. That's all they say in the show. But being from the country, that's a true statement. My neighbor would come over and be like, hey, my cows got out. Can I get some help? Yeah, let me get on my boots. I'll be right there. You don't ask no questions other than, let me get my stuff. I'll be on the way.
Man, that's camaraderie.
Yeah. Like, hey, man, I'm broke down on the side of the road. Can I get some help? Can I at least get a tow? Or, hey, man, could you at least look at my car? And I would do it for anybody, man, woman, doesn't matter. I help them out.
And see, that's lost. I mean, there was a time where if somebody was on the side of the road, man, there was a time where somebody was always there. If somebody was on, if they had a breakdown, whatever, somebody was always there.
Well, nowadays it's not safe because people are hijacking people. They wait for you to stop. They act like they're hurt or they broke down. As soon as you stop, they rob you. And then they take off in both cars.
Absolutely. We live in a different time.
It is. I used to be able to play outside. Whenever I moved to Dallas, like my little brothers played outside. I'm afraid to let my kid out in the front yard.
Man, it's a different world. It's totally a different world.
You got to worry about them being kidnapped, touched inappropriately, drugs. Nowadays, like, okay, let's be real here. When you were 14, 15, like it was no really internet yet established. We had to learn everything from our friends, or from our parents, or a movie.
And I like those times. Before the phone, man, let me tell you something. Everybody knew everybody.
But now everybody's got a supercomputer in there.
Everybody, man. And you can be right here next to your friend or your buddy. And y'all both like this. Ain't saying a word. And
yeah.
It's becoming weird now. You get around people and you have relations with people, you have your friends over, everybody hitting the phone.
And everybody's in the phone, nobody's having a conversation.
Man, it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. And I think about technology, man, how it just changed everything, the way we operate. And it's making it harder for people to work together.
Oh, yes, it is. And nowadays, it's harder to be a man.
Yeah.
Because everybody looks at I guess how I can say it is a white man is we're automatically the enemy.
Right.
And I don't get that. Like I try to be friends with everybody. I give everybody the respect until they lose that opportunity from me.
And what people don't understand is that a man is a man at the end of the day. I don't care what race or color you are, man. And all of that, that's why here at Brothers Unite, we represent all men. All men, and we understand the struggles we all go through, and every man is struggling with something in the society. When whether it involves the system that we're dealing with, or children not being received, relationship issue, everything that we are dealing with as men, we deal with it,
and nobody wants to hear about it. Absolutely. If a man cries about his problems, he's seen as weak, as obsolete. Basically, a thing that nobody wants. I used to be that person. Oh, I'm fine. No matter if I was depressed, sad, upset, about to cry, I'm fine. I'm fine.
It's so, it's crazy that you say that, because there's so many men today that if they going through something, you'll never know. You ask them, oh, I'm good, and they're going through the worst situation in their life. And one thing we teach here, Brothers United, man, we are there for our brothers no matter what, and we will ensure that we there. If you need something, we there. If you need some help,
absolutely,
fixing something, we there. You know what I'm saying?
And I tell that to all my Army buddies that are still around. 22 veterans a day kill themselves,
man.
And I've had quite a few friends that have passed away due to that, and they felt like nobody was there for them. So I make sure I tell all my brothers and sisters that I served with, hey, I'm just a phone call away. You just need to talk, call me. I don't care if it's 2:00 in the morning. Call me. Because I would rather get woken up and have a bad day the next day than go to another funeral.
Man, it's crazy because, man, we suffer in silence.
We do.
And I don't know if it's a condition built into us, but we so used to being told a man had to be strong. He had to figure it out on his own. So by that being said, I got to figure this out on my own. And that's it. And that's not it. I believe
it's not it. And, I got lucky. I got blessed with a good wife. She listens to me. She's seen me cry. She's seen me break down. She's seen me in my bad times, my good times. She's seen me hurt and healthy. And, you got to find those people you can trust. I mean, even if it's one of us, if you have to write us and you're having a bad time, I would take the time out of my day to just be like, yeah, what's going on, man? You want to talk? Go ahead. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of infantry guys, and I don't know any. Man. I don't know any of them. It was just a Facebook group, and one of them told us he was really depressed and just wasn't having a good time, and we all jumped in. And we're not talking 10, we're not talking 20 people. We're talking 1,000 members in this group chat. And we all send stupid stuff to each other, but we all jumped in on his defense. Hey, man, if we can help, talk to us. If you want to private message us, go ahead. We're all here for you. We're here for you, brother, because we know how hard it is.
And this is the truth. And I came to figure this out over my years of understanding. In this society, they fear that men will come together. Because once men come together, they're going to realize that, man, we are, how can I say? I say men are the seeds. And when he plants his seeds in the soil, he builds a nation. And men have the ability to build nations around the world, man. And so to have a fear to see men come together instead of being divided and fighting over things that makes no sense, coming together, man, your ability to create things.
So I heard something. It was kind of funny. It made me giggle. It said that men don't need women.
Right.
But for one thing.
Right.
Procreation.
Mm-hmm.
Not for sexual gratification or anything like that. Just for procreation. We've built the country. We do all the hard jobs. Now, I do know women that are in HVAC and automotive, and I give them all the kudos because they are really good at what they do, but they're already at a disadvantage because it's a man's industry. And they'll tell you that. It's harder for them to make a living. It's harder for them to make a name for themselves because it's a man's world.
Industry, yeah.
In that way. But on the other hand is I'm not good at secretary work. I know I would never be good at that, but we could do it. Men could do that job. We've already proven that.
But think about it. I'm gonna get you with this one. Before feminism, when women was in the house, right? Men had all the jobs. They did everything. And God in the Bible said when men find a helpmate finds a good thing. And so what I'm basically saying is that a woman she assists her man. A woman, she helps her man, like you was explaining to me when you was going through all the things you go through. She's that shoulder you need, you lean on. She keeps the house, she makes a house a home. She teaches the children for the next generation. And when they added the system they created, essentially it was to get the kids from being taught by the mothers. See, when you talk, because now because both parents are working now in society today, it stops the children from being taught by the parents as it once was. It was in-house.
They're not learning good family values.
Yeah, they're
anymore.
not learning.
They're just learning what the school basically tells them. And
Yep.
that's the job. That's also a failure on the parents' part,
That's
is
it.
because the parent, even though your kids go to school and get taught stuff, you still have to teach your kids how to be a good human being, how to be respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. These are little things that help dispel, install discipline in their lives. You know, like we're trying that. Well, my daughter, like we're trying to give her more responsibilities now that she's getting
Right.
into her preteens and teenage years. We're trying to give her more responsibilities, money responsibilities. Like, hey, this is how much money you have. You spend it on what you want to spend it on, but when it's gone, it's gone. You know, and we're slowly working that angle. And I'm teaching my daughter. I'm gonna go and pick up a car for her here soon. She's kind of filling out what she wants, and then
Right.
me and her are gonna rebuild that car. But she has to earn the car parts. She's gonna have to work for the car parts that I buy her, so that she can fix up her first car at 16. She'll be able to have one. She'll be able to
Right.
go to driving school and have a car. And I feel like that's good responsibilities, teaching these kids that,
Teaching work ethic.
But nowadays you have families without a dad, without a mom. A dad's trying to raise two kids on his own and there's no mom anymore. Well, how are they ever going to get the woman aspect?
But see, it goes back to what I said earlier. That's playing. Your kid is very privileged.
It is.
And that's sad to say.
I will say that.
She privileged because she has a 2-parent house, right? You don't have that anymore. That's not a common thing. So your child is seeing something different than the normal kid will see today, which is a sad reality. And so that's important. You need the balance, man, woman, and child. It's a balance there from where that child get great development, because they learn both parties.
Yeah. And I challenge all the viewers to really take a kid, like their niece, their nephew, a friend's kid, that ain't got a mom. If you're a girl watching this, great. Take that kid, go do if it's a little girl, go do a girl thing with him. Because if that dad, he doesn't know what girl things to do. I don't know what girl things to do with my daughter. My wife does those things. And I do try. I take her on dates, and I actually show her how men are supposed to treat women on dates, because I want her to expect that from. I don't set the expectations like crazy high. A guy should be respectful, open up the door for her, wait for her to sit down first. The little things that a guy does, and that how a girl should be treated, because I want my daughter to look for that in a man or a woman whenever she's older. I don't care which one.
Right.
And I would say the same thing if it was a little boy, like, man or woman, whoever he's with, whoever makes him happy, he's got to be able to know what a good person is. My wife, she was there at me at my lowest whenever I got out. The army was like, "Oh, you're hurt. We don't want you no more. Kick you out." I didn't have nobody. I didn't have no support. All I had was my wife.
And that's crazy, man. I saw a movie, man, called Thank You for Your Service. And man, that movie talked exactly about what you talked about, man. Like when the guys, they served the military, the guy came into the office. He was like, "Man, I served." He had a Purple Heart or something, and the sergeant didn't even acknowledge him or recognize him. That was after he came from the military. It was crazy, man. It was one of my favorite military movies, man, because it's serious. Like, these are what guys do, go through, who serve this country.
And it's not just guys. I've seen a few girls that served with me. We had females doing female searches and stuff, because
Right.
it was unethical for us to touch a Muslim woman or
Right.
talk to them. It's against their religion. So we were very respectful of that. And we had women do the interrogations and the female searches if need be. And I unfortunately, I had one of my sisters, like, she served with us and she was going through a rough time, but she reached out, before she took that, long road of, downward spiral. She reached out and we all talked to her, like, "Hey, we're all here for you and we'll always be here for you, because we've been through the same things together." She wasn't even part of my unit. She was just attached to us, but immediately we bonded because she was there with us.
And that's real, man. And in this life, I feel as though men today have to start living their life with rules. In life has rules, right? And men today don't live with rules in society today, which means is that he'll have somebody in life, he have no rules. He just, we're gonna have a good time and that's it.
Yeah.
But when you set rules in your life with people that's in your life, if they want to be a friend, they live by those rules. And that's why I say it's very important to have that, because a strong brotherhood is untouchable, man. You know, y'all can get through anything together, no matter what you're going through. I can tell you a story. I had a good friend, probably a year and a half ago. He was stuck in the mud. It was 10, 11 o'clock at night. I stayed all the way till like 1 o'clock in the morning, helping to pull it out the mud. And we stayed in there. We weren't able to get it out the mud to the next day, but we stayed there 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. You go until the job's done,
And
or
I
you
still
just
had to
realize that you can't do it by yourselves.
It still had to work the next day. That's brotherhood. That's camaraderie, man. And living by rules and leading by example. So when you lead by those rules, people they expect something different now. They're living different. Okay, this is how we live. He do that for me. I'm going to return the favor, man. That's brotherhood, man. And that's why I feel like we have to get back to have a foundation as men to live by these rules with people in your life and guys that's in your life, man. Because when you have that accountability, when you hold your brothers accountable, it's a different type of world, man. Y'all can build together in a different way, man. And y'all understand what each other going. Y'all hold each other accountable in life when growing in success or career wise.
Yeah, you really want positive people in your life. You know, if you have somebody that's always negative and always bringing you down,
absolutely,
or always telling you the worst and everything, you got to expel that person. And I hate to say that, but you really do. And I don't care if it's your family, okay? You got to expel the negativity, and you got to be more positive and respectful to everybody, because respect gets you a long way. You know, everybody wants respect, but nobody wants to give respect. So that's why I just say the rule is give everybody the same respect as you would give your mother or father, right? Or a parental figure, and then go from there. And they'll show you their level of respect if you give them respect. And then if they don't show you any respect, then expel them from your life.
Man.
Get them out of there, because there's no need for them inside your life. They're just going to bring you down.
Bad people hold you back. Positive people take you to the next level. And that's the most important thing, man. I feel like y'all need to understand. Bad people hold you back, and positive people take you to the next level.
Yeah. And, you know, like I said, even if it's your family members, you can't pick who you were born into, your family you were born into, but you can pick your family.
You can pick, man, let's say that one more time for the viewers, man. I don't think they heard it, because it's very important what you just said. Golly,
you can't pick what family you were born into, but you can absolutely pick your family.
Man, that is so deep, because it's so, man, that's so real. Because it's, you know, I find that in life, you get better relationships with people that's not your blood relative, you know, blood relatives, the people, you know, that's in the family. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Your family will betray you more often and break your trust and your respect more often than people you choose to be around you, because they also choose you. You choose them and they choose you,
man. That's deep when you really think about that, man. And then, you know, I'm gonna have to wrap this up, but I want to say, man, that guys like you that serve in the industry you serve in, bro, I want to get a round of applause to you guys, because it's important. It's important what y'all do, man. And people don't talk about mechanics like that. You know, I don't hear anybody talking about mechanics unless they say, well, I need to get my car fixed at the last minute when they ain't had an oil change in 3 months. And it's too late. And man, and that's the real reality of it, man. Your industry is important. I want to just thank the guys for people like you for what you do, man. We really appreciate you, brother.
I'm going to say something to all the viewers. Please look at the channel you're watching on YouTube. If you want to figure out what's wrong with your car, look at a reputable channel. Okay. And I'm not going to put any names out there, but there's some that I watch that I learn things off of. And I'm a master technician, but these guys look at it from a different point of view. But stop looking at every small YouTube channel for how to fix your car. If you don't know, ask somebody. All right. Ask a friend that has a friend as a mechanic. Write me and be like, hey, is this the right price that I should be paying for my brakes? I don't care, because I would rather somebody take 5 minutes and me take 5 minutes out of my day to write them and be like, yeah, that looks like a correct amount. You know, even if I can't do the work for them, I can still be like, yeah, you're not getting, you know, screwed over.
Right.
You know, you got to know, don't go into your dealership and, you know, get screwed over, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Absolutely. Especially if you're a female. Even if you're a male that don't know nothing about cars, just ask somebody. because there's plenty of resources out there. And if you're going to try to fix it yourself, great. Look at a reputable YouTube channel. If you need that, or look up, get you a Haynes manual and look up for your car and look up how to fix it. That's totally fine. But don't just go in there, because sometimes that makes it harder on us, man. I don't want to get anybody, in trouble or anything like that, but it really does make it harder when you do your own work and don't know what you're doing.
Man,
it's very frustrating. Like, why? Why wouldn't you just bring it to us? We could have fixed it right for half the price. Now you're doing double the work.
Double the work, because now you created multiple issues, man. Before I close it, man, you have a business as well?
I work at a specialty diesel shop here in Mesquite, Texas. And we do a little bit. We were working on a 1970s Buick the other day, and I rebuilt the carburetor. So you got to think about, I also have a gun range that I run for the deaf and hearing impaired. It's not open to the public. We do take private memberships. We do ask you to know a little basics of sign language, but it's in East Texas. It's called Athland Shooting Club. We're on Facebook. My Instagram is Recipe for Success. It's my same gamer tag I've had for Xbox for 13 years. I love it. All my social medias are Recipe for Success.
Man. So I know you're playing that Starfield, right?
Absolutely.
I had to speak about that a little bit, man. I'm happy you brothers was here today, man. Make sure you support this guy, man. Support him, man. He is one of the guys that keep this world rolling, man. People that's on the road, who wasn't for guys like him, man, what we'll be doing, man. We'd be walking on foot to pavement, man. And I just want to say thank you, brothers, for subscribing and supporting this channel, man. Continue support, man. And this is Birds United Roundtable.